It's the never-ending lies of Donald Trump. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. I mean, this is just kind of the beginning of it, right? You know, what I was just ranting about. George W. Bush and Donald Trump both lost the popular vote. George Bush lost it by 500,000 votes. Donald Trump lost it by 3 million votes. Yet both these men, after having lost the election of 2000 and the election of 2016, ended up in the White House, even though a majority of Americans did not want them there. Similarly, in 2012, when Republicans took control of the U.S. House of Representatives, Democrats got 1.4 million votes nationwide for the House of Representatives, yet Republicans had a 33-seat majority. There are a bunch of states where the majority vote goes for the Democrats, and so you get a Democratic governor, Michigan, Kentucky, North Carolina, but the legislature is still in Republican hands, even though the majority of the vote went for Democrats. Why? Because of gerrymandering. And now, according to reporting in The Guardian, corporations like Chevron and Citigroup are pouring money into Republican operations to not just maintain minority rule, but to expand minority rule. And billionaire-funded right-wing groups like FreedomWorks are reaching out to tens of millions of Americans, saying that allowing us to vote by mail during this pandemic would amount to voter fraud, which is this BS argument that they've used now for 30, 40 years to make it harder for people to vote. And this all at the same time that Bloomberg is reporting that China has decided they want Trump to stay in the White House. Russia wants Trump to stay in the White House. Donald Trump losing in poll after poll, but Republicans continue to run these states, even where Republicans got the fewest vote, the smallest number of votes. And the Supreme Court has said, no, you don't have a constitutional right to vote. You know, if we don't get money out of our politics, and if we don't start to enforce the laws against foreign meddling in our elections, this could be the end of the American experiment in democracy. I don't think the stakes have ever been higher than this. China's saying, oh yeah, 4 more years? Yeah, just fine with us. And then we've got, you know, over the weekend, Trump and Barr firing Jeffrey Berman. Now, who was the lead prosecutor at the Southern District of New York. Now, keep in mind, Preet Bharara had been the prosecutor there. He was appointed by Obama. When Trump came in, he met with Preet Bharara. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his last name. But he met with him, Trump met with him, and basically tried to get him to swear an oath of loyalty. Same thing he did with Jim Comey. And Preet said, no, I'm going to be independent. And so Trump fired him. Not right there on the spot, but, within a matter of weeks, Trump fired him and replaced him with a guy who worked on his presidential transition team. A guy who he knew, a guy who was a big Trump supporter, a guy who had put money into the Trump campaign. That was Jeffrey Berman. He was a Trumpista. And so Trump put him in as number one guy at the Southern District of New York. And then turns out he was actually a good prosecutor. He went after Michael Cohen, a bunch of cases that really upset Donald Trump. And now they've fired Jeffrey Berman. And for the short term, he's being replaced by his assistant. But I'm telling you, they're going to fire her too. It's just going to be a week or so. They're going to fire her because they're going to get Jay Clayton in there. And, they very much want Jay Clayton in there. And the reason why they want Jay Clayton in there is because Jay Clayton is the former lawyer for Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan Chase, who are being investigated by the Southern District of New York. Pam and Russ Martins over at Wall Street on Parade, the headline, as Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan face criminal probes, Barr fires top prosecutor, tries to replace him with the bank's former lawyer, Jay Clayton. Now, it could be that. It could be that they're starting to get close to people in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Keep in mind, Jeffrey Epstein got his first job teaching young people when he was hired by Bill Barr's father back in the day. Jeffrey Epstein was good friends with Donald Trump. He was there at his I believe he was there at his marriage to Melania. There's all kinds of pictures of these guys being good buddies. It could be that it could have been that it's not just getting close to Trump. It could have been that it's getting close to Trump donors. It could have been, God, it could have been anything. I mean, what do you think Jeffrey Berman was closing in on? Whatever it was explosive, and it looks like Barr, frankly, the clumsy way that Barr handled this causes me to think that it wasn't Donald Trump who panicked and said, fire Berman. It was Bill Barr who panicked and said, I'm going to fire Berman. But, time will tell. But the graft, the grift, the corruption, it's just never ending.